Okay, let's talk about that thing we all go hunting for after a breakup. Closure. Because I hear it from people all the time who've just broken up, and it's perfectly understandable. And I swear that every time I lose someone, however I lose them in my life, my brain builds this narrative that if we'd just been able to have one more conversation, one more coffee, one more night sitting on the kitchen floor talking, then suddenly I would have more understanding of what happened and I'd feel more stable again. And the sad truth is, it's nonsense. But it feels incredibly real while you're in it, because the thing that actually hurts is the not knowing, right? It feels like you've been pushed out of a moving car and you're standing in the road, watching it disappear. And you're just thinking, what was all that about? And your brain wants answers because answers feel safer than silence, and you're a human being, so completion feels like safety. Because humans are a bit ridiculous like that. We'd rather have a terrible explanation than no explanation at all. But one of the real breakthroughs in healing is when you learn that this closure thing that we're all supposedly searching for is usually connection. It's usually a little bit more. It's please don't disappear. Not yet. Even if you don't love me anymore, just be near me while I'm still hurting from what we had. It's reaching back towards the person who broke your heart, hoping that the same hands that hurt you will stitch you back together again. It doesn't work like that. Of course it doesn't. But we try anyway. And I completely get it. I've done it. You're not stupid. And the weird thing is, it's not that you actually believe that they'll give you some mystical sentence that magically fixes the pain. It's that talking to them feels like touching the old wound again. Even if it hurts, it's familiar. And familiar feels safer than new. Every time I chased closure, do you know what I got? More questions. A new level of pain layered over the old one. Closure is a room that you walk into thinking that you're going to leave lighter, but you will limp out with a head full of thoughts and a heart that's bleeding all over again. And why? How do I know this? Because you're not looking for a truth. You're looking for a feeling. And that feeling is, I mattered. I wasn't crazy. You cared too. You felt it too. But here's the uncomfortable part. Even if they told you all of that, you'd still be sitting there thinking, yeah, but if I mattered, if you cared, why did you go? You wouldn't believe them because the wound isn't about logic. It's emotional. You're hurting because you gave yourself to someone who didn't stay. That's not an intellectual problem that you can solve. It's a heartbreak problem. Closure from them can't fix that, couldn't fix that, never would fix that. You could get every answer in the world and still wake up tomorrow wanting a different one. Because if you were able to face the honesty of the situation, what you really want is for what happened to unhappen. And that's impossible. Most of us don't want closure. We just don't want to grieve. Grief is slow. It's boring. It's heavy. Most importantly, it's really hard emotional work. It's sitting in your house in silence, eating the dry bit of toast that you don't even want, feeling that echo of someone that isn't there, but is bouncing around your head. When people ask me, why can't I get over them? Why can't I stop thinking about them? One of the answers is because it's easier than turning and facing what's really going on. It's easier to chase one final conversation, one final coffee, one final text, one last voice note than it is to sit in that discomfort, in that pain. And the chasing of the closure feels like it's productive, but it's not. Every little pursuit of closure adds to the delay, and the delay adds to the volume of the crash at the end of it. So what's the truth? What's the basics? Well, closure can't come from them, first of all. It comes from time and work and honesty. And it comes from stopping trying to make sense of people who didn't have the courage or the capacity to love you properly. It comes from saying they left. That's the explanation. Not a poetic one, not a satisfying one, I know. Just the true one, the real one. People leave because they leave. Sometimes because they're scared, sometimes because of wounds, sometimes because they're selfish assholes. Sometimes because the fit wasn't right. Sometimes because they didn't have the emotional depth to show up for you. Sometimes because they're cowards. And the reason that you don't have to decode this stuff is that there's no answer that's going to stop you feeling what you're feeling. Believe me, there's no secret answer to the puzzle that's going to get rid of this ache for you. And this is key. Even if they sat down and gave you the perfect explanation, you're still going home with an ache in your chest. The house will feel cold and you'll feel weird. And that's because closure is nothing to do with knowledge that someone else could give you. It's acceptance. And acceptance isn't one moment or one conversation or one sentence, one text message, one voice note. It's a practice. It starts messily. And if you want to know what it looked like for me, it was, I hate this. I hate every second of this, but I'm not going to call them. It was, I want answers. I want an explanation. I deserve an explanation. How dare they? But I know deep down that if I reach out to them, they'll just reopen the wound. It'll hurt more. And it was like, I don't understand this, but I'm still going to wake up tomorrow. And I'm going to have to get on with my life. That's closure. That's what it is. It's all those little, small, apparently boring choices, rather than the dramatic conversation that we love to imagine in our heads. I bet you've been over it, haven't you? I did. But the true, slightly annoying turning point is that when you stop expecting them to be able to make you feel better, you realize that the same person who hurt you is not going to be the person who heals you. And honestly, thank God. You're too important to hand your recovery back to the person who was disrespectful enough to walk away from you. Closure is when their silence becomes enough of an answer. It's when you kind of spot yourself hunched over trying to fix something that was only ever held together by hope. And eventually you will wake up and it won't be the first thing that you think about. And it's sudden. I promise you it's sudden. You won't even notice. The moment that it shifts, you won't even notice. It'll just feel a little bit lighter. It'll happen quietly like the weather outside your window. You'll make a cup of tea and realize that your chest doesn't feel like it's being gripped from the inside. You'll go a whole afternoon without replaying anything in your head. You'll catch yourself laughing, properly laughing, and for a second, you'll be surprised. That's what real closure is. It's not a conversation, and it's not a goodbye message, and it's definitely not an explanation. It's just you, your life, like your normal day-to-day stuff just comes back into the foreground, little by little, and it'll be enough. I promise it'll be enough. Big hug.